Hi, today we're going to share with you some ideas about the art of voicemail. I hope you find it very informative and worthwhile.
How long of a message should you leave? Is there a correct number? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Say about a minute.
About a minute is good. More than a minute, you're throwing up on people, they're going to be annoyed, okay? And it depends on the relationship. If you're in the middle of a ongoing communication with someone, yeah, you could give them the details and directions. But if you're following up on a job interview or following up on a sales presentation with a client, or you don't know the person, 15 seconds or less is probably good. More than that, has anyone here ever deleted a message without listening to it because you've done that. We all have done that. So you want to be aware of that. You want to be polite and respectful. Is it okay to hang up? If you call somebody on the phone and you get their voicemail, do you have to leave a message? No. So you can hang up. It is not illegal to hang up, okay? Now, why would you want to hang up? If you hang up,
you're not prepared.
You're not prepared, okay? You didn't know what to say, you were hoping to reach them live. But today, let's be real. Most of the time you call someone, you get voicemail. So if you're going to get voicemail, you should be prepared. So that's one of the rules would be prepared. But if you don't feel good about them leaving that message at that point in time, it is okay to hang up. Now, can people see you smile? When you're on the phone, you're saying yes? No, they don't have video phones. Nobody can see you smile. Come on, let's be real. However, can people feel your smile?
Yes.
Of course.
They can
hear it in your voice. They can feel it. Does it make a difference?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Can you be too enthusiastic?
Yes.
Yes! If you're too enthusiastic, you lose credibility. Sometimes I'll get a message from someone and I say, oh my God, this person is absolutely selling me something. You can tell. So there's a credible level between being a lunatic of being too enthusiastic and sounding like a funeral director. Okay. How soon can you call back? If you leave somebody a voicemail message, can you call them back? Of course. Has anyone here ever gotten a voicemail and not returned the call? Of course. People seem to feel it's okay to be sort of disrespectful. On the other end of it, people use voicemail as a screening thing. They don't always return calls. Isn't that true?
Sure. Yes.
So, if you leave a message, are you allowed to call back? How long do you have to wait? What's the appropriate length of time?
1 day.
1 day? Oh, is that right? 2 days? A week? 6 months is a bit long. There's no exact number, but calling back 5 minutes later is not appropriate. If you leave a message, you can't call back 5 minutes later and say, hey, did you get my message? How come you haven't called me back? They'll think you're a lunatic. You will not get hired. They will not want to work with you. Isn't that true? Okay. So
is it different between types of calls?
Yeah, it varies. If you're calling your cousin Alan to invite them for Thanksgiving and you haven't heard back from them, you can call them again and say, hey, look, we need to know. Thanksgiving's tomorrow. Okay, but that's different than calling an employer that you just had a job interview with, or calling a client to see what's happening on a proposal. If you call somebody back at 5 or 10 minutes later, they're going to think you're stalking them. That's not appropriate. But if you hang up and don't leave a message, can you call back an hour or two later? Yeah, but if you leave a message, you can't. So one strategy might be the first time you call somebody, if you get voicemail, hang up. It's okay. You can say, Rick said it's okay. Now, if you call back 10 minutes later, and 10 minutes later, and 10 minutes later, they're going to see your number and say, what is this person doing? They're stalking me. So one strategy might be to call back from your cell or your home phone or your office phone. Could you switch phones? Is that illegal? No. That's one method. The other is, does anybody know what *67 is?
Yeah.
What is *67?
Take out your caller.
Yeah! *67 erases your caller ID. So your calling is a blocked call. Now, Alan, if you get a call and it says caller ID blocked, will you answer it?
No.
No! So that doesn't always help either, okay? All right. So be prepared and practice. If you're about to call someone, you should have some bullets. Now, you do not want to read your notes to the person on the phone. You do want to sound human. Being human is important, but not being too human. Now, Anybody ever call somebody on the phone and you got a live human? That does happen occasionally. Okay? This is not voicemail. This is like a person that has a heart rate. Some people, they actually have companies where they have human beings answering the phone. If that happens, it's important to be smiling. I sometimes will even stand up and I sound better. People can feel a little difference. Now, if you reach a live human, be polite and nice, of course, right? Be prepared. It can happen. People deal with people that, we talked about this earlier, that they know, like, and trust. So remember that. If the person you're talking to on the phone speaks quickly like I do, speak quickly back. If they're talking very slowly, talk a little bit slowly. It will make a difference in terms of that. Be very polite, but don't be so polite that you sound like, anybody know who Eddie Haskell is from Leave It to Beaver? That's an example of being too polite, okay? Can you listen to your message and delete it? Let's pretend you call someone and you get voicemail. That happens. So instead of saying, oh, I got voicemail, what do? So one option is if you, let's say you did the first routine, you hung up, you tried them again later, you got voicemail again. You hung up, you got voicemail again. So now, if possibly, the chances are better that if you leave a message, you have a better chance of them calling you back than not, right? So what can we do? We can leave a message, hang up, or there's one other option that's not on the slide. Press 0 and see, does this person exist? Do they still work for the company? Are they on vacation? Or is there somebody else that could possibly be of help? Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so you can ask and you can find out maybe you're calling the wrong person, or there's somebody else that you could be reaching out to, because this person just seems to never, ever pick up. Now, do you all know that some people use voicemail and never, ever pick up the phone? That they use that to screen, it's like a spam filter for email. That they get zillions of phone calls and they're afraid to just pick up the phone. If they did, they'd never get any work done. I have heard that from real people. Okay, so be aware of that. Now, if you are leaving a voicemail, this is the magic today. If there's one takeaway that I'd like you to write down and remember to do, how many of you listen to your voicemail that you leave when you leave a message for someone? Raise your hand. Okay, a couple of you do. That's great. Now, why do you do that? A couple reasons. One is sometimes, has anyone ever said something like, have you ever called your cousin Alan Mark by accident? We all make verbal typographical errors. We think we said something and we said something differently. Well, I'll call you next Tuesday and I say Thursday by accident. Or I cough, I'm breathing. I have trouble breathing through my nose. So I was told, I noticed once, I was told this as well as I heard it on the voicemail, that I said, I'm breathing through my mouth, and what did it, you're smiling. I sounded like an obscene caller. They could hear me breathing. They said, Rick, mute yourself. You know, I had to get further away from the microphone. It was embarrassing, but I didn't know it until I actually heard it. Also, anybody here ever use the words or or talk, you know, I listened to a couple of voicemail messages and I left. I said, that's awful! So what did I do? I deleted it. And then either hung up or I re-recorded it. Okay? Has everybody got that? Now, if you're doing a message, even if you think you left a good message, it's a great idea at the end to listen to it. Now, how do you listen to it? Well, this is where you got to be very careful. We have another slide on this later. You can press a key, and some voicemail systems will say, at the end of a message, press pound. And then it gives you choices of 1, 2, or 3. 1 being send, 2, listen and review, 3, delete. So I will almost always press 2. And the reason, even if the message was at, I like to hear myself so I can get better at it. How many of you would like to be awesome at public speaking, presenting, and communicating with fellow workers, friends, etc.? Yes. Isn't that a good thing? Yes. So practice makes perfect. Okay, so here's the slide. Now, this is very important. This does not always work. This does not always work. So if you're leaving a message and you think you're going to be able to delete it at the end, say, don't start talking out loud to yourself saying, oh, okay, I'll just delete this. You know how some people talk to themselves? Do not do that on the phone. Pretend that the message that you're leaving is going to send, that accidentally you'll hit some wrong key. Okay, everybody got that? Please understand that. I have left some messages where I thought I was going to be able to delete it, and I wasn't able to. And I was a little embarrassed. I laughed about it. There wasn't much more you could do. Okay, so a pound or zero may give you choices of sending or saving or reviewing, or you press pound, it says, thank you, message sent. You go, wait, I wanted to delete it, re-record it, and you can't. So that sometimes does happen. Star key may cancel a message or it might not. So I use the word may. Most often with Verizon, AT&T, lots of major phone companies, the 1 approves it, 2 is a review, 3 or 76, star 76, this is for Octel, large corporations use the Octel system. How in the world do they come up with star 76? But that may delete the message. Everybody got that? Please be careful out there, okay? However, if you have the opportunity to listen to the message, do that. And sometimes you will actually catch yourself doing something awesome. And that's good too. We're talking about getting better, right? And critiquing it. But if you do something good, say, hey, that was a good message. I sounded pretty good there. I'm going to send it. Feel good about that. That was a good experience. Did I catch you at a bad time? So you reached the live human. You called somebody, you were ready for voicemail. You were prepared to listen and record. They answered the phone. Has that ever happened? Have you ever had somebody answer the phone? It does happen once in a while, so be ready for it. Now, have you ever talked to somebody on the phone and you could tell that they either were distracted, they were at Disney World, they had other people talking in the background, something was going on, and you decide to ignore that and just tell them how awesome you are and you're following up about blah, blah, blah. Is that correct? That's crazy! So what do? You can politely say magic words, did I catch you at a bad time? Not to say, is this a good time? If you